Welcome to the Tempo Storm Meta Snapshot Breakdown. The Hearthstone meta has recently undergone both balance changes and the imprisonment of a card, ironically the jailer himself, from Standard, leaving the game in a weird state. So weird, in fact, that we've reintroduced the legendary Tier S, which is only reserved for borderline game-breaking decks. But how bad are things really? Let's start at the top, where the Tier S ramp Druid is the latest in the line of Druid meta monarchs. At the beginning of Fall of Ulduar and the introduction of Contaminated Lasher and Yogg-Saron Unleashed, the new Miracle Druid quickly became a dominant force in the meta. After a quick nerf to Auctioneer, Tony Druid took over the meta, and now, with the Jailer banned from Standard, Ramp Druid has become the best archetype in the game. While closing out games with this deck is not always as easy as it was with Tony Druid, the deck provides more than enough card draw, damage, value, and removal to warrant its placement. The deck is heads and shoulders above everything else out there. But Druid's dominance and Tier S placement have had ripple effects on the latter. Tier 1 and 2 are also smaller than usual, and by smaller, we mean far smaller. In fact, as the only reasonable counter to Ramp Druid, Pure Paladin is the one deck we're featuring in Tier 1. Incidentally, this version of Paladin is also very good against Mech Rogue, two archetypes that happen to be very popular on the ladder. The deck does face some issues against the somewhat prolific Rainbow Mage, but as long as Ramp Druid continues to dominate, the pros far outweigh the cons for Pure Paladin players. Speaking of Rainbow Mage, Jaina's flagship archetype is trying to make a living under the oppression of Druid and, to a lesser extent, Paladin Rainbow Mage. To its credit, it's doing better than basically everything else, as it's the only deck in this Meta Snapshot's Tier 2. This list is one of the few that has improved noticeably with the ban of Tony Druid and Gadgetzan Auctioneer. It even has a plan against the Tier S Ramp Druid, curve out with Cosmic Keyboard, and apply as much pressure as possible. If Rainbow Mage can do enough damage in the early game, then this deck can potentially burn out the Meta Tyrant. The main issue is Ramp Druid's relative speed, should Rainbow Mage stumble even a little bit. It's an ironically small Meta Snapshot breakdown for a massive balance patch, but we're excited to see how players adapt and where the game takes us. And you can be sure that our experts at Tempo Storm will be here to keep you abreast of all of the best lists for the ladder. See you next time.